Hey everybody, let's welcome Stevie Peterson. I should say welcome back to Stevie, because Stevie is a part of a series that I started a few years ago called Where Are They Now?, where we invite speakers who have shared their stories in previous years. But usually I invite folks who spoke to us several years ago. In Stevie's case, Stevie was here just 2 years ago. But so much has happened in Stevie's life in that short 2 years that we decided it was time to come back. Now, you spoke to us from the perspective of a non-binary person last time, and when you spoke to us, you spoke from a wheelchair that you thought was going to be a temporary thing. That status has changed. Tell us about it.
My mobility aid, my chair, I like to call it Cherry, and any of you who are of a certain age might remember a show on Saturday morning TV called Pee-wee's Playhouse. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, so a little different thought. Most people see somebody in a wheelchair, assume that they can't walk. Well, I've had the pleasure of breaking my back 2 different times in 2 different places, and so the resulting 6 surgeries have left me with 16 screws, 3 rods, a plate holding me together. That's why they call it practice in medicine. And I've just got nerve damage, spinal cord damage, things like that from all the surgeries. So I'm in pain all the time. And the wheelchair was just something my doctor recommended I try to see if it would help me just get through life every day without being in so much pain. And it's been just a wonderful tool. I had my most recent surgery in April of last year and was, again, hoping that it was going to be that final surgery, but alas, not yet. So we'll see what the future looks like. But for right now, I'm just okay with this.
So do you find that people treat you differently?
Yes, this has been a very unique social experiment, however you want to look at it. People have kind of certain assumptions about wheelchair users. First off, they assume that you're paralyzed, and when they see me sometimes stand up or walk or grab something, they assume I'm faking it, and I'm like, oh, I only wish I didn't need to use this, but I do. And they also have other assumptions, like people will look at me and say, well, you're too young to be in a wheelchair, or you're too healthy looking to be in a wheelchair. People have come up to me and touched me on the shoulder and said, how's your day going? And I will reply, oh, just fine, thanks, appreciate you asking. And they kind of jump back. My boys and I have gone out to dinner several times recently, and they will look at my children and ask, what do they want for dinner? And I'll say, oh, my name's Stevie, my pronouns are they, them, I'm right here, I'll be happy to order for myself, thank you. So people just treat you different. The other interesting thing is, my head's about the same height off the ground as about a 7 or 8 year old. So people don't see me when I'm in public, when I'm in crowds, when I'm in the grocery store even. I've had people walk into me. I've been in line for the theater and they just walk right in front of me because they don't even acknowledge the fact that there's somebody sitting in a wheelchair in front of them. So it's been kind of unique. Thanks, yes.
Well, speaking of the grocery store, I find myself in the situation sometimes where I see a person in a scooter who is, say, trying to reach a can of peaches. And, the impulse in me just wants to step right up there, grab that can of peaches, hand it to him. There's probably a little better protocol for that.
Sure, never assume somebody needs help until they ask for it, and let them ask for it first. I've had people hold doors for me and very awkwardly try to hold the door, and I said, well, I'm just going to run over your toes. So if you want to stand there, feel free. It's going to hurt. Just telling you. I've had people offer to grab stuff off the shelf for me. I was in the grocery store recently and was eyeing some items on the top shelf. Person came up and said, oh, what can I grab for you? And I stood up and grabbed it and sat back down. And again, they just looked at me and they were like, oh my gosh, you're not paralyzed. I said, it's a miracle. I try to have fun with it when I can, because that's all I can do is laugh.
There's been a lot of emphasis on accessibility. I'm not so sure right now, but throughout the years, is it difficult to navigate this world in a wheelchair?
It is very difficult. This environment, this world we live in is not built for wheelchair users. Buildings will often advertise as handicap accessible and things. I was visiting some friends up in Michigan this winter and went to a restaurant up there that we called ahead just to make sure they're accessible, and we got there and there's 3 steps up into the restaurant, and I said, well, okay, this is going to be fun, and I said, I can stand and get my chair up there, but then somebody came out and said, oh, you just have to roll around behind the restaurant, back through the alley by the dumpsters, and come in the back door and just come through the kitchen. And I, oh, well, that'll be lovely, thank you. Just what I wanted to do was tour your dumpsters on the way to my meal. We left. I said, no, I'm not going to do that, sorry. So, yeah, there's other things that I wish people would think about too. There's a 3-letter acronym out there that's kind of been also shunned recently, and the middle letter of that acronym is the letter E, and that stands for equity. A lot of people think it stands for equality because I want to treat everybody the same. I want to give everybody the same thing so that they can all do the same, but everyone has different needs. So if you think about equity as far as giving everybody what they need as individuals to be successful, if you and I were to go for a bike ride and somebody handed us the same bikes, that probably wouldn't work very well because I can't sit in a conventional bike anymore. I have a hand cycle that I ride, and you probably wouldn't fit on a large frame that I would ride conventionally. So getting the right bike for you and getting the right bike for me allows us to both be successful, and that is being equitable. So that's what I wish more people would think about too when they design spaces and when they just lay out stuff. Yeah.
So how can we advocate for differently abled people?
Advocating for different, basically is speaking up. When you see somebody pulling the handicap parking space, don't get me started on that. That one's just real. See somebody pulling a handicap space who doesn't have one of the hang tags or don't assume they're not handicapped. Because I've had friends of mine who had cardiac problems and couldn't walk very long distances. So they could walk again, but they walk long distances. So don't assume that I'm handicapped, just ask where their pass is and just confront them and ask them. Also just, again, speak up, Disabled people make up about 1/3 of the overall population. And when I say disabled, I mean everything from physical to intellectual to emotional disabilities. But of all those people, only about 1.5% make up wheelchair users. So I'm kind of a member of an exclusive club.
I've always known that about you. Something else major that has occurred in the last 2 years, you lost your job and your gender-affirming care at the exact same time. How did that happen?
I did. So if anybody remembers, I worked for an organization in Goshen called Mosaic Health. Dr. Catherine Bast there was our primary care doctor. She did family medicine, but she also did gender-affirming care. We had well over 1,000 transgender patients. And the state of Indiana was one of the 27 states who have now passed laws banning gender-affirming care for minors in the state of Indiana, but a lot of these organizations have also been threatened with prosecution and things if they continue to do gender-affirming care for anyone, let alone minors. So Dr. Bast was basically run out of town. The Attorney General for the state of Indiana was on a witch hunt. He wanted her license badly, and he was going to do whatever it took to get it. So she fled the country. She and her wife are now practicing medicine in Nova Scotia, Canada. About 26 hours of that away. But they had to flee the country. She was going to lose her license. And so, that affected well over 1,000 of our transgender patients, including myself. And that has just been, heartbreaking for me to watch all of my, former colleagues that I worked with, as well as all the patients, just kind of disperse out there and try and pray that they hope and pray that they find some place to go. Indiana is one of the worst states out of all 50 states. They've ranked them for safety for trans people, and we're 38 out of 50, so we're pretty far down the chain as far as safe. I personally have had several friends flee the state, move into states that are much more friendly for trans people. I've had friends go to Illinois, Michigan, Seattle, Washington, etc. So it's just not a good place to be anymore.
And then, of course, you had to get a new job. Are you allowed to be Stevie at your new job?
Technically, I'm allowed to be Stevie, but I work for a large health organization now. I manage a couple of their offices in very conservative little communities that are not very accepting and affirming of LGBTQ people, let alone transgender people. So I get the privilege of wearing my boy costume to work every day, which is really hard on me because I just want to be my authentic self. I mean, I spent almost 50 years of my life hiding my authentic self, and it almost cost me everything. So to have to kind of go back into that, I hate that word, but yes, have to go back into that has just been morally, emotionally, mentally, just crushing.
Imagine. It was about 3 years ago that I started hearing rumblings out there about eradicating trans people. And I have to say, when I heard that, it shook me to the core. That word eradicate, that's harsh. How does that make you feel?
Obviously it also terrifies me to think about the fact that they see transgender people as such a huge threat to everyone else. Transgender people don't make up as much of the population as a lot of people think. Can I do a quick survey? Sure. So how many people think, so they're spending all this time and energy and effort passing all these bills and these executive orders and everything else trying to erase transgender people. So there's got to be, about 20% of the population probably is transgender. Anybody agree? Can we give me a clap if they think it's probably about 20% maybe? No, lower than that. How about 10%? It's got to be at least 10%, right? Lower? 5%, right? Lower? It is 1% of the overall population. There's 330 people roughly in America, so there's about 3.3 million Americans. That's the population of the Indianapolis metropolitan. So we don't make up a huge portion of humans. Why are we such a huge group?
In January of this year, you and I and Izzy had a conversation, and I really couldn't sleep that night, honestly. You talked about how you and your son have developed an escape plan.
Yeah, my 22-year-old son, who still lives at home with me, came to me shortly after the executive orders were signed on the first day in office, and he said, "Dad, what do I do if they come for you?" I just said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to be fine." But my son is on the spectrum, and so he can't just take, "Don't worry about it," as an answer. So I had to give him access to my financial banking accounts, mortgage to the house, insurance, all that stuff, just in case, because he wasn't going to be okay with, "Don't worry about it, son." And I've also had friends come to me and say, "If you need a place to hide, Stevie, you can come hide in our house. You'll be safe with us." And this is the year 2025. I don't think I should be having those conversations in the year 2025, but it sounds kind of familiar if you think back in history. And I'm going to let you know a little secret, don't tell anybody. They came for the disabled people and the LGBTQ people before they came for the Jewish.
Well, I think it's just tremendously courageous for you to come out here and talk to us tonight. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, actually I would. One of the things that I've kind of been working on as a human being is developing my why statement. Much like a mission statement that an organization has, a why statement is kind of why do I exist? Why am I here? And my why statement goes like this: I am here to embody the divine truth of who I am and to inspire others to do the same, thereby creating a ripple effect of healing and empowerment that will echo for generations to come.
Stevie, we hear you, we see you, we love you, and please know that you're never alone.